Delighted today to offer up our webinar with our long-term partner UniLink on EDI. And we are recording today's session. Everybody will get a copy of the recording within 24 hours or so following the session. And we also have a Q&A session towards the end, so please enter your information into chat, and we'll make sure we get those questions addressed with you. And I'll ask that we advance the next slide, please. Okay, so I've been with NSA for a little over 9 years, and we work with a number of add-on solutions to Cloud Suite and SXE. And in many of those areas, we offer a choice to our partners because sometimes there's a differentiation between some of the solutions. I have to say that in the EDI world, we are partnered with UniLink and UniLink alone. They are so dominant in this particular space. We've got so many mutual clients that that they own that space with NSA, and we're really pleased that that is the case. Next slide. So about NSA, most folks on here know who we are, so I'll be quick about it. We've been around longer than any of the other resellers in this space for SXE and Cloud Suite and all the prior names of the ERP solution before that. We've got the largest consulting team in the space as well, with 22 plus years experience in distribution and over 20 different consultants. And we're pleased to offer, like I said, these add-on solutions such as EDI to the suite of the power of your ERP solution. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm going to turn over the webinar to Tony Palermo. So Tony's been with UniLink for a very long time, been in the space for very long as well. He also has a couple of team members that I will ask Tony to introduce as we get started. And Tony, with that, I'll ask you to please take it away.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank NSA and all the folks that are participating this afternoon for taking time out of your valuable day. The topics that we're going to cover today, and I'll quickly go over them, just understanding EDI, talk a little bit about operational efficiency, cost savings, competitive positioning, how EDI can help distributors differentiate themselves in the market, different types of implementation strategies, options that you have depending upon your current state. We'll touch a little bit on some success stories. And of course, we're going to really hit the expediting rebate section, since rebates we know are very, very important to the cash flow as well as the profit of distributors. Next. So before we get into the what, let's talk a little bit about the who. We've been at this for over 25 years in the e-commerce space. We've developed innovative technology, and we're dedicated to this particular segment of the business. We are not broad and thin. We are narrow and extremely deep, and we specialize in EDI. That is our product. We've been an in-for delivery partner for 17 plus years in various capacities, depending upon the in-for structure of the day, but we always seem to fit in there very well. And I think the most important attribute on the slide is that we are a trusted service-focused EDI provider. Again, it's our core service. It is our priority, and we handle all the heavy lifting and essentially become your EDI department. Next slide. EDI is a critical component of any digital transformation. We should always be looking at ways to enhance and to digitize functions within our business. At the end of the day, if there's one thing that I've learned throughout my career is that systems beat people 100% of the time. And this is certainly an application that fits directly into that attribute. There's been a lot of myths about EDI in past years depending upon how old you are, you saw my picture. Brian made it very clear that I've been there a long, long time. He could have just said long time. But the net is I have been around for a while. And if you look at an application like EDI, hopefully when we finish, you'll look at this as an asset and an asset that will appreciate over time and certainly pay for itself. My job today is really to inform everyone about some of the key components of EDI, not to sell, but I will tell you I am passionate about the subject matter. So if I sort of branch over into the selling phase, please forgive me, but I'm going to try very hard not to. So go back one if you could. So as we mentioned before, we are your EDI department right down the hall. We have you work directly with our developers. Our developers are also project managers. We handle all the trading partner onboarding, which is really the most difficult component of a good EDI program. And we're more than just developers. We have a service model that's, I think, unique these days. When you call in with a service issue, you will be speaking to the person who has worked on the project, and they'll know about your business. They'll know about your system and how you're set up and how you're structured. You won't call in and get a ticket number and have some young person that's never seen your business call you back and have to ask you 1,000 questions before they can help resolve the problem. So it's direct to the individuals that are going to be able to answer any questions. Next slide. So, the old question of, do you need EDI? Well, of course you do. EDI is your connection to your vendors and your customers. It's the commerce highway that you are automating to very efficiently, effectively, with higher quality, move the critical transactions back and forth in order to fill an order or place an order and get confirmation and get shipping notices and those core 4 transactions going back and forth to run your business. So some people have EDI deployed because it was a defensive project. Somebody said, look, if you want to do business with me, you're going to have to do EDI. And then companies scramble, they put together an EDI program, and then they just don't get that much penetration. So they're stuck with all the costs associated with it, but not very many customers or vendors on it. Some people take a proactive strategy. We're hoping that's going to be the result of today, that will provide enough information so that you will proactively go out and look at EDI for your company. Some people know that it's a key component to expanding their market. And the last one is, I wouldn't say you can avoid disruptions, but disruptions are always going to occur. It seems like we've had our fair share of them over the last several years between COVID and supply chain issues and world conflicts and shutting down of shipping lanes, work stoppages, more to come. They're just going to keep coming, but you are much better positioned to keep the lines of commerce open effectively when you're automated and communicating with your trading partners. So, when should you start to implement EDI? Well, I would say now. All EDI is pretty much a staple these days. There's no mystery about it. It could be that you're going to have a vendor requirement. It could be that you have personnel limitations, i.e. turnover in your customer support. You have 10 people, now you're down to 7. Well, if you automate this function, you'll be able to repurpose people and it won't take as much personnel. You may have somebody that is working on an EDI application for a few customers or key vendors, but that person now is leaving, and then you have to start all over again and train someone and fill that job. And then the last one is a trigger that could happen is if you're looking at an ERP migration. If you're moving to the cloud, it's a good time to implement EDI and start that project. Next. So you're really one of these options, currently. You're either manually processing, you're not doing anything. That's probably the highest cost in about a medium risk environment to be in. The second is that you've invested in some sort of in-house system, and that's depending upon the number of trading partners and customers that you've been able to move on to that network, or if you put it in place because you went kicking and screaming because of a requirement by a customer, and now you're stalled. That's probably the highest cost, highest risk environment to be in. And then the last option is you are outsourcing with a managed service provider, and you may be happy with them, you may not be happy with them. And I would view that as being the lowest cost, the lowest risk state that you could possibly be in, especially if you're dealing with a proven company that has implementation experience. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move on. Next. So one of the key things that are very important is to assess your needs. So a lot of times we get on the phone with a customer and they want to go, yes, we want to go to EDI, and we're ready to go, but they haven't done the homework yet. The end result is that everyone knows about the Amazon experience, right? You go online, you pick a product, you click on it, they come back and say, yes, we have that product. You order it, so you sort of create a PO, you get an acknowledgement back again, you get an advanced shipping notice minutes later, and you get an invoice and you pay for it. It's pretty seamless. Well, that's what we're trying to provide via EDI with your trading partners, customers, and vendors. Tony Soprano would call it the bada bing, bada boom. Forget about it. It's done. Seamless communication, accurate communication with all four forms, at least to initially. But you have to quantify what your current state is. I mean, how many trading partners do you have? How many of them require EDI? And keep in mind, even if they don't require it, you can still communicate that with them via EDI so that on your side of the transaction, you are completely automated. You have to understand what your trading partner's requirements are. What documents do you want to exchange back and forth? What's your volume? How many POs are you creating? What forms do you want to focus on to begin with? The time frame and resources for the project. What are your ERP integration capabilities? How much customization for your business processes do you want to implement? And again, our EDI implementation allows for you to put a lot of business specific process requirements built into the maps that we use to communicate back and forth with your trading partners. And of course, the scalability. Next slide. So, what EDI solution is right for you? What goals are you trying to accomplish? Error reduction. It's been quoted in several documents that I've read that you can expect a 62% drop in error rates when you implement EDI. How do you determine the ROI? That depends. It depends if you want to do it internally or if you want to do it via a managed service provider. If you're going to do it internally, there's a lot of elements that have one-time costs as well as recurring costs that have to be considered in when you're looking at the ROI. What's going to be needed to get started as far as hiring new people, training new people, onboarding people? What is the time and service consideration? The contact of the trading partners, dealing with their unique requirements. And the bottom line is, do you have IT resources available? And even if you do, should they not be working on some other, more critical strategic initiatives? Next slide. So weighing your costs, and if you look at those three current states that you could be in, if you're manually processing these forms, you don't have any capital expense. You do have labor and time. You have the cost of errors we talked about, the cost of potential lost business for you, because if your trading partners are highly automated and moving further in that direction, they may decide to choose to deal with somebody in the like situation. And, manually processing these forms can cost anywhere from $15 to $25 each. And so that's a figure that should stick in your head, because when we compare that to the cost of an EDI transaction being, less than $1, every transaction that you do, you're saving $14. And it's not just 1 month, since it's recurring. It's the gift that keeps giving. You're going to save that money every single month, which is the key offset, if you will, to the ROI and the payback of implementing an EDI system. Now, in-house solutions, you're going to have to buy servers. You're going to have to buy software. You're going to have recurring upgrades. You have to select a van. You have to have specialized personnel on board. You have to look at the integration spider web that you'll be developing. And the question is going to be, are you going to be able to scale and grow and keep current with all of the requirements for EDI? So that's the second current state. The third is a managed services, which is what we do. There is no capital expense. It's a very low barrier to entry, and I mean hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars. It's transactional pricing, which is basically a success-based pricing method. It's a single connection, certainly ease of expansion. And I would say that the payback on these projects is very quick. I mean, it's not years, it's months, and sometimes it's a few months. And then, of course, it's easy to calculate the wrapping and the recurring ROI when you are dealing with the managed services state. So just a few EDI basics. We talk about the core four a lot. Core four is invoice, purchase order, PO acknowledgement, advanced shipping notice. That's probably 80% of the transactions that we process on a monthly basis. The ASN is a very important document. I don't have to tell you that the customers want to know when and how their shipment is going to arrive. And keep in mind that there is a difference between a functional acknowledgement, a 997, which we do not charge for, and a PO acknowledgement, which is the 855. ACH and hundreds of other forms and ways to use EDI for if you choose to receive or to pay electronically through any of your banking systems. Next one. This is just a quick overview at a very high level, depending upon whether you're a customer or a vendor, how information would flow in and out. For your customers or your vendors, let's pick a vendor. You'll be sending them a PO out. You'll expect back a PO acknowledgement and an ASN, and then eventually an invoice, and vice versa if you're on the other side of the equation. So it's pretty simple in and out those four forms. Next slide. This is my favorite slide that we ever have developed because it kind of tells the whole story. I'm going to take it at the high level, and then I'm going to flip it over to Cameron to do a little bit of a deeper dive. But basically, our client, who potentially could be you, sits there. The first thing we do is connect you to our data center. Once we connect you to our data center, we also have embedded in that connection any unique requirements that you have that you want to put in the maps, or any business logic that you want to incorporate. And then our job is to get your network connected. Your customers, your suppliers, your vendors, if it's a buying group. And again, we support any format, any ERP, any document, any protocol that they may have. And we're going to talk about this later, because we have a sophisticated map development, we can just about adapt them without them having to make any changes to their ERP system and have that communication channel set up. Now, that's important because adoption rate is the key to a successful EDI program. It doesn't do you any good to have a great connection to our data center, have a very sophisticated set of business rules and maps, if you can't get, or if we can't get, all of your trading partners on the network. So that's why it's very, very important that we don't have any barriers. We don't ask them to make any changes, and we handle any unique requirements they may have in the map itself without them having to make a change to their ERP system. Now, we're already connected to all the big box stores: Amazon, Walmart, CVS, Target, Walgreens, Home Depot, Lowe's, and many, many, many others. So we know all of the unique characteristics and the requirements of these big box stores. Now, get back to where there has to be ERP development enhancements in order to get it prepared, the ERP system prepared to do EDI. And I'm going to ask Cameron to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so often in our EDI implementations, we'll work with NSA to set up the ERP on your side. We reach out to your trading partners and we get and I'll go into more details about this in a little bit, but we get the specifications for their business rules for their ERP on their side. And really what this diagram shows is NSA will be supporting your ERP to make it ready for EDI. Over here on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side would be your trading partners, and we connect to their ERP. We're in between, and we make the information between both of the ERPs communicate for both inbound and outbound documents.
And again, NSA is a key component of the success of this because of the requirements to get the ERP system properly set up and decide, what business rules and how they're going to be developed and where they're going to be developed, either in the map or sometimes they are built into the ERP system itself.
Right.
Okay, next slide. Smart maps, without a doubt, the key to our success over the years. Smart maps are basically where we map and translate data to match the ERP requirements of your trading partners, preventing them from having to make any changes for ease of adoption and ensuring compliance. In these maps, you can create alerts for discrepancies in price, order numbers, part numbers, to prevent any bad data from passing through. Exceptions can be created on a trading partner basis, and you just tell us what the criteria is to allow to pass through and what you want to alert. We can handle multiple ship tos and drop ships and convert units of measure and calculate date offsets all in the map itself. So if you need to make changes to a smart map, that's our job. Let's just say that you're running along and one of your trading partners, God forbid, makes a change to their ERP system, which causes a transaction to fail. Well, first of all, we're on it. We're going to talk a little bit how we would all be notified in just a minute, but it's our developer's job to contact that trading partner, and we will learn a little bit more about that, and we'll make the change in the map and not ask them to back off the change that they made in their ERP system. And that seems to work very, very well. Now, we have maps that are extremely simple, and we have maps that are hundreds and hundreds of lines of code and also require API calls to other systems, mostly read-only, where we have to bring in a piece of data to validate an item that's built into that smart map. So again, what this ensures is a high adoption rate and eliminates customers and their trading partners from making changes in their ERP system, yet they can still provide very extensive communication back and forth. Next slide. So one of the key components of the system, managed service system to our customers, is visibility into their EDI system. It's your view into the EDI platform. It's where exceptions and notifications and reporting criteria can be included. And again, I'll ask Cameron to comment.
Yeah, sure. I like to give the why behind things. And for me, and in my experience, the customer portal, the two whys behind it are, well, okay, we set up these business documents between you and your trading partner, and your data is being entered in automatically, not manually anymore. Things are flowing. That's great. But it's not just a background process that you don't see. So one of the reasons for this customer portal is so that to add tangibility to this, so that you can actually see your EDI implementations in this portal, and you can see how they're working, how the documents are going inbound, how they're going outbound, so on and so forth. You can check the statuses of them. And this gives you a window into your EDI implementations so that you see your EDI implementations. And I would say the second why behind using this customer portal is to get information, whether it's for an audit, you can draw reports, or just mere curiosity of what was on an order, an invoice, advanced ship notice. You can go here and get that information.
So this is where also you can set up that if a transaction fails, who do you want to notify and how do you want them notified? And it can be based on a certain customer, can go to a certain individual if their transaction fails. if a different customer is handled by a different individual. And we'll also get the transaction notification that it has failed. So oftentimes, before a customer can even call us, our folks have already talked to the trading partner and have started working on it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
uh,
there's also a ticketing system as well. As you see there on the top upper right hand corner, there's a place to put in tickets. So for example, say that order that's marked in red, if you had an issue about that, you don't have time to look in it, you're busy, you're working on other things, you can put a ticket in, our team will be notified to look into it.
Yep. So this is a pretty strategic part of a holistic managed services product that you have visibility into it on a minute by minute basis. And we do have a live demo of the portal. If you're interested in seeing that, it might take a grand total of 15 minutes. But we can either send that to you, or we would be happy to host a quick call to demo that to you. Next slide. So the components of a successful EDI implementation, managed implementation, is there are some things we ask the customer to do, our customer to do, meaning you, and that is gather some trading partner contact information, number one, and give us information that we can use to send an email out to them explaining who we are and what we do. We also ask you to send one prior to that we've been authorized to work with them on your behalf to implement the EDI system. After that contact is made, then we will contact them. Well, first thing we'll do is get you connected to our data center, and then we will start contacting the trading partners to create the necessary maps, testance, acceptance, and then go live. And you can see from the circle that the customer slice is pretty small, and the rest of it, except for some testing in the green, is all our responsibility. Next slide. So the benefits of EDI and distribution, you can absolutely expect a significant improvement in data quality. Certainly inventory management, this is all real time. Orders aren't sitting in baskets or in desk drawers, or responses going back. Person gets sick, and then there's a long weekend, and then it's 6 days before your customer gets their advanced shipping notice or their PO acknowledgement, and that's not fun for them either. So the whole process is really moves into a real-time environment. Certainly a faster order fulfillment, enhanced data security, operational efficiency. It's the Amazon experience. Automation is absolutely essential in order to compete in the marketplace, especially in the near future. Certainly want to have strong supplier relationships. Smooth communication, accurate transactions fosters that type of satisfaction. And the whole standards and compliance, meeting industry requirements with compliant data exchange. That's our job, to do that research, to have those connections established so that we stay up to date and compliant. So this is a pretty cool product. A couple of customers contacted the head of our development organization, was just talking about rebates and how important rebates were. And is there anything we could do to help them track these rebates on a more real-time basis? And it was pretty interesting because after we implemented this in the test mode, the customer saw us at a trade show and told us that that they were actually receiving their rebates before they got their invoices. And their CFO was extremely happy with it because from a cash flow standpoint, it was a pretty big deal. So what is Rebate Accelerator? It's a customized and automated cloud-based reporting that provides detailed summaries of rebate details and discrepancies. So the Rebate Accelerator uses the 844 rebate request and the 849 rebate reply from the vendor. And we use a dynamic matching program when processing the rebate reply form against any request form, and provide the fact that it was approved, it was not approved, and why wasn't it approved, which allows somebody to do this in a really daily dynamic fashion electronically, so nothing gets missed. And it just frees up time and resources, improves cash flow, takes the challenges and delays out of the rebate management. I mean, these customers were telling us they were losing tens of thousands of dollars just because they didn't file the rebates because it got missed, because it was all a manual process and they're processing, thousands of rebate requests on a monthly basis. Next slide. So this is just an example mocked up of a screen. We didn't want to put any customers' data in here. And unless you have eye problems like me, you might be able to see the different categories. But basically, these are the live transaction requests that have gone out. And it also shows the response. And you can see most of them were accepted. We had a few that were not. One for a price authorization was invalid. Another one was negotiated price was less than the book price. And I think the top one is product not on the price authorization. So, if you think of several pages or several screens of this data that somebody can look at and immediately assess the situation and dive in and clear the exceptions only, versus having somebody manually go through and check each one. You can see that I think it's certainly a home run. Next slide. So the Rebate Accelerator, what makes a good candidate? Well, first of all, that you're doing detailed responses and are using unique claim numbers on your rebates. So there has to be some unique indicator. You also have to be doing EDI with UniLink, because we're going to use what you have and then create the 844 and the 849, be able to receive the 849 reply. Should be able to trade rebates with any of your vendors. If you do business with the following companies that we're currently in production with and having great results, that even makes you a better candidate. And that's Square D, Allen Bradley, Thomas and Betts. You can read the list, but we'll be adding, of course, companies every time a new customer wants the Rebate Accelerator. We'll do the research to add them. If you're experiencing struggles as ERP systems are not fully supportive of the rebate documents, and that is a problem, because a lot of the ERP systems, they're not strong in the rebate area. So we add value by filling the gap. It automates the process of matching all the details for your rebates requested with what's being paid. And smart detailed mapping, shows quick, intuitive results on a daily basis, because when you automate this, you certainly can file rebates on a daily basis. Next slide. Okay, so what really matters? I mean, at the end of the day, from a summary standpoint, I've been told for years on any any technology project I was going to initiate in my company, even to the extent of building my house. I've been told uh, there's three criteria: time, cost, and quality, and you can pick any two. Um, you can either do it quickly and pay more money and keep the quality up, or you can want to do it fast for the same cost and suffer the quality side of the equation. Implementing EDI in a managed service environment is one of the few areas that I can attest to that you get all three. You save time. You save time for the people within your company. You certainly save dollars, and they're recurring savings. Keep in mind, you're offsetting expenses that are recurring. And when you offset those, it's the gift that keeps giving, and you retain the highest quality. So, it's very easy to budget managed services uh, offering. Uh, and again, the criteria that matters is there's no capital expense. It's all success-based pricing. We have proven implementation processes. These have been developed over many years. Uh, Custom EDI technology tailored to meet your business processes and the business processes of your trading partners. Ongoing communications with you and your trading partners, automated proactive exception reporting and correction, and impeccable service reputation. I don't think you'll find anybody that would disagree with that. Uh, Service is part of our DNA. We think it's critical. There's end-to-end ownership, no pointing fingers back and forth. Uh, I used to say one neck to choke, but somebody told me that wasn't nice, so I shouldn't say that anymore. But I blew it, and I just did. We answer the phone. We answer emails in real time to make sure that the service stays up at an excellent par. We understand that we are part of your communication path for e-commerce, and that any disruption in that communication path is critical and must be responded to immediately. So, I mean, basically, that's our story, and we're sticking to it. Our next slide will tell you where we are. We work in a lot of different environments, but the accelerator product is only for distribution. But as you can see, we have integrated with a lot of the Infor partner set or product set. So with that, I would like to tell you one more is that, back up with just one. Okay. What's happened over these years? It's really interesting. This is our growth, and we're kind of tooling along 2017, 2018. Then COVID stuck its head up in 19 and 20, and we were really positioned to see a slowdown in growth. And what we saw was just the opposite, that that there was more of a need to get EDI implemented in a lot of companies across the United States. And we've been on this hockey stick for a while. We hope it continues, but we've been able to, manage through a lot of disruptions that we have seen as an economy over the last 8 or 9 years. But just want to let you know that you're dealing with a company that's been very successful. Next. So this is the time for questions. Turn it back to you, Brian.
You bet, Tony. So I'd like to thank Tony and Cameron for an excellent presentation. Sure. I would invite anybody that's on the line here to please enter your questions into the chat. I've got a comment, and then I do have a few questions that I've got here to ask. Typically when you have a trading partner that is requiring EDI, they tend to be a fairly important client, right? They tend to be doing a fair amount of transactions with you, et cetera. You want that to go off well. You want the trading partner to have a positive experience, obviously along with yourself as well. And I think it's important to go with an organization that focuses specifically in this arena and can make that happen with you. I can tell you that we have numerous mutual clients. We've been working with UniLink for many, many years, and we've never had an issue. When they talk about their impeccable service, that's incredibly important to NSA. Anyone that's worked with us in the past, that's not an easy bar to get over, but UniLink always does. So, with that, I do have a couple of questions. We don't have a lot of extra time or a lot of expertise. How involved is it, how involved is it to get started?
Yeah, I would say how involved it is to get started will really depend on how many trading partners you have and how many documents you have. But then again, even if you had a lot of trading partners and documents, you could start with just one. I mean, even just starting with one, maybe your highest volume trading partner is putting your toes in the water, which is a good way forward. And then if you don't have a lot of time and expertise, that's where NSA is really going to help you out on your ERP side. And then we're going to synergistically work together to combine their ERP expertise with our EDI expertise. And so that is where you'll get supplemented with expertise. And for time, as Tony pointed out, one of our slogans is we become your EDI department down the hall. And if you recall the slide with the pie chart, there's a little fraction of what you do. And in part of the life cycle of setting up EDI, well, first you have to fill out the spreadsheet, just maybe one trading partner or all of them in the documents that you do. And then you just assist with testing. So you would have people on your side, for example, if you get purchase orders in, people who do your order entry manually would want to sit down and work with NSA to make sure the data is going in your ERP as you like. But to answer your main question, you don't have a lot of expertise, you don't have a lot of time. Well, you're the kind of client we would want because we're incentivized to help someone in your situation, both NSA and UniLink.
Right. And a lot of it too depends on whatever time schedule that you have. You may have a deadline of some sort, and then we can move faster. You may be doing a cutover into a different ERP system or a different version of an ERP system, and that requires a different set of skills because we can do those typically quicker because there's something already in place. But the net is, a lot of times we're responding to whatever deadlines our new customers have, and we do a pretty good job in meeting those. We'll juggle schedules to make sure that we can comply.
Great. Thank you, gents. I've got another question here as well. How do I determine which trading partners to prioritize if we are just getting started to implement EDI?
I love that question because I am absolutely crazy about my answer. Some people think, well, let's start with the small ones. No, start with your biggest customers, your biggest vendor. And the reason is when you do that, you immediately see what you get back in time, what you get in quality improvement, and you get a big impact, if you will, on your business, which motivates you to move faster to get more people onto the network. But you're already receiving a tremendous benefit right out of the gate versus, picking a couple small ones and, you implement them. Sometimes it takes the same amount of time to do a small one. And then you're saying, well, that didn't really give us the impact we thought it was going to give us. Well, that's because they only send you 4 or 5 POs a month. We want the big ones first. Hope I answered it.
You did. And I think that that answers also what you've been emphasizing during the entire presentation, and that is your level of expertise in the space, right? If you choose the option to do this on your own and try to build that in-house, maybe it does make more sense to go with a smaller client because, you don't want to take the risk with the big ones. But the biggest ROI is on those larger accounts. And you guys
Yep.
already have the expertise, so that makes perfect sense.
Yep. And we have a calculator, by the way, that we can use on a subsequent discovery call that, actually will show you what the ROI would be. We load in the factors, the number of POs. POs is really the trigger because we can extrapolate from number of POs. And then, we'll ask you about the time it takes a person to enter in a PO. And from that point, we can come back and give you a very accurate payback and ROI.
Right. I do have one last question here. We're currently just beginning to implement EDI. One of the customers we'd like to do this with is interested, but currently does not do EDI. So how big a project will it be for us and for the customer to get them up and running?
Cameron, I'll give you a first shot at that.
Yeah, sure. One of the first questions I would ask is, how do you currently do your business documents? I would imagine it's through a PDF or maybe an Excel sheet through email. And if that's the case, we have technology to help with PDFs and basically turn those into EDI so that we would take your trading partners' business document PDFs, turn that into X12, which is the lingua franca EDI language. And then we would work with NSA to get that information into your ERP, and in the other direction as well for outbound documents. You might want to send them a document into a PDF form while we take the information out of your ERP and send it back to them in a PDF form. Now that's assuming you use PDFs, but we can also use comma delimited files, flat files, and then Excel sheets and so on and so forth, even API calls or yeah, that's how we would work with a non-EDI trading partner of yours that wants to send information to your ERP or do a quasi EDI.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, great.
Well, it's good that you guys are on the same page. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Sure.
So, yeah, I would still invite anybody that has any other questions to please enter them into the chat. And then in the meantime, why don't we move on to the next slide? Because I think folks would be interested in this. Love to thank UniLink for, again, a very special offer. So basically what this offer is if you sign up with UniLink, before the end of this year, so you've got 2.5 months to do this. We'll waive the base transaction fee for your first 3 months. So, it's a nice way to get started. If it's something you're looking at doing now, there's a little nudge there to go ahead and help you decide to do this a little bit sooner. Certainly, we can make arrangements to have the initial calls with UniLink to go ahead and get that started with you. And gentlemen, I'll just ask if you have anything else that you'd like to mention, either specific to the offer or, I guess anything else that we have not asked yet that you think might be important to convey to the team.
Well, like I said, we normally don't do any promotional offers because we really don't charge that much, but this is a pretty good deal. The first 3 months is when you have the lowest transactions, and there is a baseline fee. And so this is and we waive that for the first 3 months. So that's money that you save coming right out of the gate. And I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to our pitch this afternoon. Hope you learned something. I hope we may have given information that would cause you to want to go to the next step and contact NSA and do a discovery call where we can get the right people on the phone from your end and the people on the phone from our end and get all the detailed questions answered and get set up for a successful implementation.
Well, I'd like to also thank the UniLink team for putting this together for us. So Tony,
Welcome, Brian.
Cameron, and Rhonda as well, who's behind the scenes, who's really worked closely with us from the marketing standpoint.
Thank you,
And
Rhonda.
then everybody that's taken the time out to attend today's session, we hope you found this valuable. We hope you engage with us so that we can help you guys get started. We will get a recap of the offer out along with the recording session for everybody here. And I'd love to thank everyone for their time today, and I'll give you back 5 minutes of your hour. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brian. Yep.